everybody, I am Bryan Currier and behind me is my Mustang. I love this airplane, second one I've owned. I've been a pilot now since 2000, so a little over 23 years. I have about 5,000 hours, about 1,000 hours of jet time, and have flown multiple jets. This one's still my favorite. This is the 8th airplane I've owned, everything from a Grumman Yankee, Piper Saratoga, a couple of Cirruses, and then Mooney, and ultimately into the Mirage, Meridian, and into the Mustang. My first Mustang was serial number 328. First jet I ever had, absolutely loved it, and tragically, it was lost in the March 2020 tornadoes that took out the John Thune Airport here in Nashville, not too far from here. So it was really kind of a tragic day for a lot of people, including me in that regard. But then we came across this one. And the Mustang has a special place in my heart. We've been all over the country with it. I use it extensively for business, for personal. I get anywhere between 175 and 225 hours a year flying this airplane, and haven't been on a domestic commercial flight in a long time. So I'd love to talk to you about the Mustang, walk you through a sample flight, teach you everything that we can show in a couple of minutes about this amazing airplane. So let me take you on a little bit of a tour. We'll do a little bit of a walk around, but as a little bonus, particularly for you Proline guys, I noticed as I was coming out here, my databases are expired. So we need to do the dreaded database updates. That's actually one of the great things about this airplane, is how simple it is. I went on Garmin's website earlier, just took a generic SD card that I bought off of Amazon and downloaded the database updates to this. We've got charts and approaches and everything like that. I'll walk you through kind of how I do this, because it's a lot different than what you might be experiencing for databases with other systems. So come on aboard. So one of the nice things about the Mustang with the integrated avionics and just a lot of the modern build of the airplane is the power draw is actually very low. So you don't actually need to be on a GPU to do a database update. That's just a practical experience thing. So to do a database update, I'm going to pop out the flight stream card out of the bottom SD card. I'm going to go ahead and insert my database card, power it up. And you can see right here, I've got some charts that are needing to be updated. Press a button. And we can see we've got some obsolete databases. I'm going to roll over to the databases tab, and we're updating 3 databases. That's it. Now we're going to go outside the airplane and do the pre-flight while it does this. That 108 minutes is not accurate. This should actually take about 5 minutes. The only exception to that is going to be if you have the obstacle or the terrain database, and I don't even remember the last time there was an update to that. They don't build a lot of new mountains, so it kind of stays the same. All right, so we can go outside the airplane, do a walk around while this is going. All right, so here we are outside the airplane. Databases are being updated. There's a couple things. I'll walk you through the basic walkthrough. We're not going to do the full extensive pre-flight, but basic walk around. Pitot tubes are right here. Static ports and FADEC are denoted right here. Apparently you can't paint that area. Ask me how I know. And a return trip to the paint shop, and now those cool little things. Front baggage is pretty extensive on the Mustang. This is where most of the airplane stuff lives, but there is actually quite a bit of room here as well for personal effects, baggage, things like that. You do have your hydraulics right here, and you're going to check your pre-charge, bleed it down, listening for the hydraulic pump to come on, which it did. Life is good. And on your check ride, the answers to all the questions about where should this be is per the placard. There's your hydraulic reservoir right there, halfway up the full sight. That's good. Now, every Mustang driver will tell you there's actually a little bit of a tattletale feature on the Mustang, because you're supposed to open the right cowling every time and check some things. Now, some people who shall remain nameless, not me, but some people whose initials are, well, let's just say his name's David, don't necessarily always check this. These are your pneumatics, everything per the placard. Now, what's interesting is if you don't open this, I think it's every 7 times, you actually get a flag. You get a nose door flag on the inside, and then you have to come out and cycle it because it's the original designer's way of saying you've gotten lazy and you haven't checked that. What's great is now I don't have to do it for another 7 times. It is. Here's your AOA, your other pitot. Down here I have, on this airplane, we have go-go Wi-Fi, so that's some of the antennas you're seeing across the bottom. This particular airplane is equipped with G1000 NXI, the GWX-75 weather radar, and then go-go in-flight internet. I'm going to take a look and make sure that the emergency exit is properly secured, everything is. I need a new label on that thing. It looks terrible. And then of course you're going to do your typical tires, brakes, you're going to check all of that out. One of the things I mentioned that I do a little bit differently is I run the navs and the beacon light all the time. And I do this because if there's power to this airplane, it's very, very evident. These lights are LED. That light is LED. I believe the service life on them is rated at 10,000 hours. So I'm not really worried about those lights going anywhere. So I run my navs and my beacon all the time whenever the power's on. Static wicks. One of the other really nice things about the Mustang is that it's basically a tube with a couple of hair dryers strapped on the side. So you don't need a ladder, you don't need a bunch of things to check your oil. It's right here. Cold, I'm right at min. That's a good spot if you need to add oil. Just pop that right there. And you can't see it on a camera, but your oil bypass is going to be right inside there. There's a little bulb you can see. It turns red if there's an issue. So we'll check all of that. Air conditioning, one of the nice things about the Mustang is it is one air conditioner. It's all electric. You can run it off of a GPU just fine. So on a hot day, you come out, turn the air conditioner on. Now, a little caveat to that is if you are going to be running it for a little while, open the baggage door because otherwise your baggage compartment will start to get really hot. The air conditioner is back there with all the rest of your avionics. So it's a good idea to just open that. That's the basics of it. We can go into the full stuff per the checklist, but those are the basics. This is your gust lock. One of the things that you can also do with this is give the yoke a good yank before you go anywhere because it will actually disengage that gust lock if you happen to have forgotten. So just out of habit, I pull the yoke all the way back. That will disengage the gust lock. Same checks on the left engine as the right. I'm going to check for any obstructions with the fans and exhaust and everything like that. We're going to check rear baggage. So the Mustang has a carnivorous baggage compartment. There is a ton of room back there. I've run out of room in the SUV long before I run out of room in the Mustang. Battery is a quick disconnect right behind that little door right there. Avionics bays, circuit breakers are going to be up in there, so we would check those. There's a ton of room back here, so it works out really well. So we'll secure this guy. We're good to go. Speed brakes, top and bottom. Speed brakes are electrically actuated in the Mustang, as are the flaps. The only thing that's hydraulic on the Mustang is going to be the landing gear and the brakes. I think that's correct. If not, the flight safety guys or Miller will correct me. There's a few things about the Mustang that really appealed to me. First of all, the windshields are glass and are electrically heated, so you don't have bleed air. It's real simple. Turn it on, turn it off. Later serial numbers will actually have 3 positions, off, low, and high. This is serial number 14, so this is actually one of the earlier Mustangs, so it just has the on-off. But I really appreciated that. You have one battery on the Mustang. As I talked about, the current draw is actually pretty low, running simple things like lights and even the avionics. So you got one battery. There's nothing special about it. It's just a typical lead acid battery. I think I have the Concorde in here. But you can go through, like we talked about, do a database update, do a pre-flight, walk in, start the airplane all off the battery and no issues there. Cessna does recommend that if you're going to be leaving the airplane, I believe it's longer than 3 days, to disconnect the battery. In reality, I rarely have to disconnect the battery. I've never had an issue in about 1,000 hours of flying this airplane because there just isn't a lot of parasite draw with the systems on the Mustang. So it works out really, really well. The engines are super easy to add oil and to just be able to see everything because it's all at eye level because the whole airplane is only like 3.5 feet tall. So Mark DeLude will make fun of me for it, but that's okay. It's a joy to fly. It's very easy to fly. The systems are very simple. The only non-LED lights on the aircraft are actually the landing lights, which are HIDs, which work really, really well. And you now have the ability to replace just the bulb. So it's very inexpensive and you don't have to do it very often. The only other non-LED is this guy right here, your ice light. Why they did not do LED or something else on that, I don't know. I'm sure there's a reason, but that guy is what it is. But I've never had to replace it, so there's that. A couple of the downsides of the Mustang, you do have boots instead of bleed air. I mean, you got little tiny engines on this thing. They're uber efficient, and that's great, but we don't have a lot of spare power to do things like a heated leading edge. So you do have boots. They work great. I've never had any issues with respect to icing. And you have to watch your weight and balance if you're putting 6 people, obviously, on board the airplane. You're not going to go the full, 1,000+ nautical miles. Now, if you've got 4 people and some bags, yeah, you can go 1,000 miles in this airplane. You'll have no issue. It's a good, simple airplane. I can get it in and out of, I fly into a 3,100-foot strip, not fully loaded on a super hot day, but on a normal day, go up to a strip in Michigan by our cottage up there, and it's 3,100 feet. You can do that. 5,000 feet is very, very comfortable in almost any condition in this airplane. 41,000 feet, you're going to be burning, 250 pounds a side, doing 330 something knots at 410. Anything above that, well, you're a test pilot, so I wouldn't try it. All right, that's it. Let's go inside and we'll simulate a flight plan from San Antonio to Dallas. Okay, so we've gone around, just do the walk around, and now we're ready to finish up the avionics update. So I've got a message, restart avionics to select standbys. So at this point, we can go ahead and pull out the updated card. Can put in the new one, hit restart, display will restart, hit OK. That's it. Database updates are done. So not really an issue. This is a G1000 NXI aircraft, so as soon as it's done downloading, that's going to update it to the MFDs, or excuse me, to the MFD. And then upon restart, now it's actually syncing them over to the PFDs, but you can go ahead and start up and do your normal routine while you're doing that. Startup is similar to any other Citation. You've got a flow. You're going to start with circuit breakers on both sides to make sure that all of those are in and working. Now we're going to get an ADS-B fail throughout this demonstration because we're actually in a hangar. So we will lose synthetic vision and will not be able to acquire, obviously, any satellites. There's no repeater in here. So do a quick flow all the way around. We're going to do a standby instrument check. Get my green light, and you can power that up. Fuel boosts are in their normal position. Ignitions are in normal. Fuel transfers off. Everything's off, just working your way left to right. The lights that I use, beacon and nav, are on. Everything else is off. Cockpit temps where you want them. Fans, air conditioner. Pressurization system is set for normal, and cabin dump is normal as well. Air source select is both. Mic is set for the headset. This is everything is exactly where it should be. One of the other unique things about the Mustang is you don't have to disconnect your masks. I believe it's this way in the CJ4 as well. You actually have a dedicated oxygen cutoff switch right there. And so you don't actually, unless it's super cold, you don't need to disconnect the masks in the Mustang. You just press that in. Now you've got oxygen to your masks. And that is a CAST message item as well. So if your oxygen's turned off, you'll get the master caution. And then, of course, you back that all up with a checklist, circuit breaker, standby instrument check. GPU is connected in this case. Parking brake, we're going to defer that since we're just sitting in a hangar. Landing gear, 3 green, down and check. Cockpit lighting as required. Avionics power switch is on. And I'm also going to go here and I can check databases, and you can see the database update is updating right now. This is syncing to the PFDs. So the PFDs have their own internal storage and database. In the event that you went to revisionary mode where you're running everything off of the pilot's PFD, the databases have internal storage there as well. All right, fuel quantity and balance. We would take on fuel before we really go anywhere. Although with 1,000 pounds in a Mustang, you can at least go do some pattern work. We're going to do the amazing rotary test switch that we all know and love. There's my engine fire with master warning. There's my gear. Cabin altitude. Master warning, master caution, cabin out, yellow and red. Stall's gonna be the beep. There's my stall. Flaps, get a flaps fail, get the red X. Overspeed, my kids know what that one is. Annunciator, check everything across the board, and then essentially reset to normal conditions. We should start getting all of our messages start to disappear. Okay, so that's our rotary test. Oxygen system is right over here, showing we've got 1,700 pounds, and it's cut off right now. We'll leave it that way. You can enter your weight and balance information directly on this page. So fuel on board sink, and 3 passengers, 150 pounds. We're not going very far, so it's not that big of a deal. You would get ATIS and enter the information. All right, before starting engines, now this is really the crux of what we're wanting to talk about today is how do you enter a flight plan? So we have a simulated flight today from San Antonio to Dallas. You can enter it a couple of ways. You could either manually enter it in the FMS, or I have it in ForeFlight. Sorry, Garmin, but I use ForeFlight for my planning. We're doing the Alamo 3 departure, and then it looks like the Baker 4 arrival. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can actually just go right here and hit Send to Panel, and then you can see you've got a pending flight plan, and it'll populate it right in here. So that's one option. I'm going to actually cancel that and show you how to do it manually. So we're going to set our origin as KSAT. And no specific runway. And then I'm going to go right here, procedures, select departure. We're going to be doing the Alamo 3, whatever AGJ is, that's our transition. Load that. And then we're going to go down into destination, KDAL for Dallas. And then I'm going to go procedure, select arrival. And we're doing the Baker 4 transition, we say DITSI transition. Load that, and we're done. Now, one of the things you'll notice is ForeFlight has now popped up and say, hey, do you want to load this route from the panel? I noticed you entered something in. These can stay in sync. So if you enter something in the panel, ForeFlight's going to accept it, and you can actually have it auto-accept. I don't. I want it to do it. It will not automatically send from your phone there. You have to acknowledge it, and that makes a lot of sense. That's it. We're programmed. We're ready to go. And so I can pull up the Alamo 3 departure right here, full screen, if you want to review it on here. I do find I used to fly with an iPad all of the time, and once I got NXI, I actually don't really do it. I flight plan on my phone and then sling the flight plan right to the FMS and call it a day. And en route, I just use the Garmin. Works really well. That's it. We're ready for startup at that point, which is really, really simple. Press the starter, over the gate. It's full FADEC. You don't have to worry about, just make sure everything that you get rotation, watch your temps. But you're not waiting for a certain event. You hit the starter, bring it over the gate, and that's all there is to it. And at that point, we're ready to go fly.